Now let us see how the deadlocks can be described more precisely in terms of a directed graph. And this graph is called resource allocation graph. So what we are doing here is that the entire system, that is the processes, the resource types and the corresponding allocations of resource types are represented as a directed graph, and by this graph we can see how the deadlocks happens or whether there is deadlock or there is a chance for deadlocks, etc. So we can see how it is actually constructed. Just like any other graph, this resource allocation graph also contains a set of vertices and edges. Vertices are denoted by set V and the set of edges are denoted by the set E. And in case of our RAG, that is resource allocation graph, the entire vertices set is again partitioned into two different sets, that is one is called P, and which contains a set of all currently active processes in the system, P1, P2, etc., Pn, and the second set is the set of all resource types denoted by R, which contains R1, R2, etc., Rm, where M is the number of resource types. So these are the two different sets within the vertices, and two types of edges are there. One is called request edge, a directed edge from process to resource type, denoted by Pi to Rj, which means that process Pi requests for an instance from resource type Rj and is currently waiting for the same. And the second type of edge is assignment edge. That's also a directed edge from resource type to process. So the arrow or edge from Rj to Pi denotes that an instance of resource type Rj is already assigned to process Pi. Pictorially, each process will be represented as a circle and each resource type will be represented as a rectangle. And as we know, each resource type may contain multiple instances. So each instance of a particular resource type can be represented using small rectangle within the outer rectangle or small dots within the outer rectangle. Just for example, if we have a printer resource type and 4 printers are there, we can represent the entire printer resource type as a single rectangle in which 4 different dots are there. Each dot denotes a particular instance of the printer. And we have two different edges, one from process to resource and the second one from resource to process. And let us see the first type of edge, that is request edge from process Pi to resource Rj. Pi requests for an instance of resource Rj. And the second type of edge from resource to process. So definitely one instance of that resource is already assigned to Pi. So that arrow should be from an instance of the resource to the process. Whereas in case of request edge, Pi requests for any of the instance from resource Rj. So the arrow will point to the outer rectangle in case of request edge. Now let us see an example for a resource allocation graph. A simple example for a resource allocation graph in which we have 4 different resource types, R1, R2, R3 and R4. These are the resource types and 3 different processes are there, P1, P2 and P3. And we have set of edges, either request edge or assignment edge. Let us see some of the edges in this graph. So we have an edge from P1 to R1. That means P1 is requesting for an instance of resource type R1. And we have another edge from R1 to P2. That's an assignment edge, right? So it's definitely from the instance of the resource to the process. And that means that an instance of resource type R1 is assigned to P2. So we can see here that R1 and R3 are resource types of single instances, whereas R2 contains two different instances and R4 contains three different instances. So whenever a process requests for a resource type instance, a request edge will be automatically inserted into the graph, and whenever that request is granted, that means whenever the corresponding instance is assigned to the corresponding process, this request edge instantaneously will be converted into a assignment edge. In effect, the request edge will be deleted and then assignment edge will be inserted. This is how the graph is constructed. If we analyze the process states of various processes here, P1, P2, P3, we can see that P1 requests for a resource of resource type R1 and it currently holds an instance of resource type R2. Whereas P2 requests for an instance of resource type R3 and it holds two different resources, one instance from resource R2 and one instance from resource R1, and P3 holds a resource from resource type R3 and requests for nothing. Now let us see how those deadlocks can be described using this resource allocation graph. The given a resource allocation graph can be shown that if the graph contains no cycles, then no process in the system is deadlocked, and if the graph does contain a cycle, then a deadlock may exist. So that is how a resource allocation graph is related with deadlock. And so we conclude that if the graph contains no cycle, there is no deadlock, no doubt at all. But the second case, that is, if there is some cycle in the graph, there may be some deadlock. We are not sure about that. So we can see which case we are sure and which case we are in. There is a chance for deadlock. So these are the basic facts. If the graph contains no cycles, that means there is no deadlock in the system at present. And if the graph contains a cycle, again two different scenarios are there. If only one instance per resource type, that is all the resource types are of single instance type, then the presence of a cycle indicates that there is deadlock. And if any of the resource type is of multiple instance type, the presence of a cycle indicates a chance for a deadlock. It's not sure about the deadlock, but there is a chance for deadlock. Now let us see example for different scenarios. So this was the graph we have discussed so far, right? So if you analyze this graph, there is no cycle in this graph, so there is no deadlock. We can sure about that. And suppose we are adding one more edge from P3 to R2. That is, P3 now need an instance of resource type R2. Okay. Now if we go through this graph, there is cycle, right? Two different cycles are there actually. Suppose P1, R1, P2, R3, P3, R2, P1. This is an example for one cycle. Like that we have another cycle, that is P2, R3, P3, R2, P2. Another cycle. So all the three processes are involved in some cycle and there is deadlock. How we can say that there is deadlock? So let us check whether any process can proceed. What about the case of P1? P1 is requesting for R1 and it is assigned R2. So no other instance of R1 is free now. So P1 cannot proceed like that. P2 also requests for R3, but none of the instance of R3 is free. So P2 also cannot proceed. What about P3? P3 also requests for R2, none of the instance of R2 is free. So P3 also cannot proceed. So all the three are getting stuck with the requests, right? So the entire system is in deadlock now. So what are the processes involved in this deadlock? all the three processes, because all the processes which involve in cycles are in deadlock. So this is an example for a system with cycle and a deadlock. Now we can see another case. See this figure. Here also we can see that there is cycle, right? P1, R1, P3, R2, P1. It forms a cycle. But the system contains no deadlock. Why? We can just check out the different conditions. What about P2? P2 is already assigned resource R1 and is requesting for nothing, right? So P2 can easily proceed. It can complete its execution, right? And it can release the resource R1 so that it can be assigned to some other process. Here P1 is requesting for R1. So P1 can be assigned R1. So P1 can also proceed. Like that, in case of P4 also, P4 holds R2 and requests for nothing. So P4 can proceed easily. It can execute completely and it can release the resource R2. And this R2 can be assigned to P3. So P3 can also proceed. So all the processes can proceed somehow. So this is an example for a system in which the resource allocation graph contains cycle but there is no deadlock. So these are the different scenarios. So in case of a system with resource types of multiple instances, the presence of a cycle indicates just the possibility of a deadlock. Okay, so we have to run some other algorithm, additional algorithm, to find out whether there is deadlock actually. So in this session, we discuss how to create a resource allocation graph and how it is related to deadlocks. The next session, we can see how this deadlock can be handled using different methods. Thank you.